Hey, Book Baddie.
Welcome to the Bound to Be Bad podcast.
A book club podcast where we discuss one book a season from the perspective of someone who's never read the book before.
And from the perspective of someone who has. This season we are so excited to be reading Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros with you.
I'm Casper, and my pronouns are they, she, and I'm the first year cadet.
And I'm Cierra. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the wing leader.
We aim to rave and rant about anything and everything that comes to mind while reading. But please note, this podcast will be discussing book spoilers as we talk about each week's chapters.
As this will be Casper's first time reading, spoilers for anything beyond the already read material is not fair game.
This podcast is run by adults who will most likely be using adult language and talking about adult themes, so please be aware of your surroundings while listening.
These thoughts and opinions are expressly our own and by no means reflect those of the original author. Reading is a privilege, books are art, and art is subjective.
That being said, we'd love for you to read along with us and share your thoughts and opinions as well.
So, without further ado, prepare to enter Basgaeth War College. Alrighty, real quick, let's talk about how this conversation is about to go down. First and foremost, in this episode, we will be going over death and the loss of a loved one. If this topic is too much for you today, please prioritize yourself and skip this episode. We understand, we see you, love, and appreciate you. Come back on a better day or for a different episode. Second, we'll go over our newest or latest hyperfixations. This is, after all, my excuse to catch up with my bestie and force them to obsess over my obsessions too. Then Casper will provide a summary of chapters 36 and 37. We'll give our brief general overall thoughts before diving into each chapter individually. Then we'll discuss our favorite quotes or moments and any predictions for the rest of the series, since we're like at the end of the book. Finally, we've got a fun little section where we've each picked a song to dedicate to each chapter. Songs that we'll compile into a public playlist that will update weekly for you, our fellow book baddies. Got it? Good. Now, what have you been obsessed with?
Legos.
Explain.
So for my birthday, the Lego obsession kind of started when I started dating Aaron, because it's one of his big hobbies, and I never had Lego. Like, as a kid growing up, I had Lego blocks, but I never really got Lego sets. And so for my birthday, he had gotten me the Nightmare Before Christmas Lego set, which was super, super fun to put together. And then recently we also got the Hocus Pocus house, the Sanderson sisters' house from Hocus Pocus.
I love that.
I got to put it together, and it's so cute and it's so fun. And yeah, and we've been kind of planning on making a little like Halloween village. I know he's been working on making a Christmas village for a while, and so I've been buying a lot of minifigures.
Who needs
I have
those
a problem.
like old-fashioned Christmas villages on mantles when you can make one completely out of Lego?
Exactly, for real. Customize it however you want. What about you?
I've done a lot of reading. I'm out of my slump, baby. I'll break it up into half for the other half of the episode, but I started and finished Silver Elite. This book was kind of viral on the internet because it was promoted as a best-selling author, but this is the first under the pseudonym, and people were trying to guess who the author was. Some people are guessing it was AI created. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was 4.5 stars for me. And then I read my first 5-star since Onyx Storm this year, and that was Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I tabbed the ever-loving crap out of it, but
beautiful.
She's a beaut. Mm-hmm. And if you ever want to know my deepest personal trauma, read this book and maybe you might know me a little bit better. But the description of this was The Witcher meets Cinderella. Do with that what you will. This is also the first character I've met that I feel more like myself than I see in Violet. And so now I'm like internal crisis because I'm like, am I Violet or am I Odessa? I don't know. But
¿Por qué no los dos?
True. I contain multitudes. I can be both. But that's pretty much it. Just getting back into reading. I read about a book a week now. And I'm loving it. It's my jam. Because who wants to live in the real world? Not me.
Yeah, it's kind of scary right now. No me gusta.
No me gusta. Alrighty, take it away with the summary.
Oof, y'all. Let's get into it. Colonel Atos's letter informs our gang that this is a test of their loyalty. They can leave now and complete the war games, or they can stay and help the enemy. Xaden knows the stakes, even if the younger riders don't. They're not prepared for this. They've never seen battle, and it's likely they're all going to die. He gives them the opportunity to decide for themselves what they want to do. And, of course, they stay, because they're brave and noble and badass as fuck. Even when they realize what they're up against. Wyvern. The Venom alone are terrifying, but bring in their Wyvern and holy shit are those things powerful. Some riders work to get the townsfolk to safety, while the others face off against Wyvern and Venom alike. The Venom channel power directly from the earth, sucking the life out of everything in their path, including Soleil and Fuel. Violet takes on more and more of Terran's power as she wields lightning left and right, still unable to aim precisely. As a Wyvern attempts to take out Terran, Liam and Day jump in, saving both Terran and Violet. Unfortunately, it comes at a price. As Day eviscerates the Wyvern, he too is mauled beyond saving. As Day's life is vanquished, Liam too starts to slip away. And I will never forgive Rebecca for this. Violet and Xaden, filled with rage and heartbreak, are intent on revenge. Violet unseats herself from her saddle and battles a Venom hand-to-hand on Terran's back, using every bit of training she's been through this past year. The Venom gets a good job in Violet with her acid green-tipped dagger, but Violet deals the killing blow with her own runed dagger. As the Venom falls, so too do all the Wyvern it created. Knowing what she has to do, even at the price of her own life, Violet channels every ounce of Terran's power, as well as Indarna's, to stop time and wield her lightning to strike the final Venom, just before she falls from Terran's back.
Chapter 36 in particular was such a big chapter.
It was brutal.
How mad are you at me for making you read this book now?
Still only slightly.
Okay, good. I can take that. I can live with that one.
It was not fair of both Rebecca and you to make me fall in love with Liam.
How did I make you fall in love? I was just expressing my love for him. He is my son.
Because you made me read this book.
Oh, true. Okay.
And then to yank him away from me. Devastating.
He was too perfect.
He was too good for this world.
Anything else you'd like to say before we dive into this heartbreaking chapter?
I don't think so.
Alrighty, let's dive into chapter 36. I had the epigraph highlighted here on chapter 36. It states, "For there in the land beyond the shadows were monsters that dwelled in the night, and dined on the souls of children who wandered too close to the woods. The wyverns cried, the fables of the Baron." It was our first blurb from the fables, and I was like, so she's got some of it written out? Does that mean, like, it's one step closer to being in actuality? Because I desperately want a little physical copy of the Fables of the Baron. I think that'd be so cute.
I know. Oh, I want to read them.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear your thoughts on Colonel Atos because now he is number one evil doer in my mind. But I highlighted here, according to the missive, if we leave now, we'll make it to the new location of headquarters for 4th Wing at El Tuval in time to carry out our orders for war games. But if we leave, the trading post of Resin and its occupants will be destroyed. Especially because back in chapter 33, Dane says, we're going to claim the outpost at El Tuval, the northernmost one in our assigned region. So to a certain extent, this feels like Dane at least knew. Mm-hmm. If he knew that that's where headquarters was going to actually be, was at El Tuval. But I don't know. I go back and forth on how much I think Dane knew, because I can see Colonel Atos, while being more forthcoming with Dane than, say, General Sorengale was with Violet. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine him telling him all the plans.
True. Yeah.
But this makes me think. Thoughts?
So Dane's daddy is shady, and yeah, I really don't like him. This pisses me off. He pisses me off in the, like, to me, he knows, well, obviously, like, he knows what's going on at Resin, at the trading post, that these people are being attacked, which A, means he had prior knowledge of the Venom attack, which is, like, what the fuck? How?
Like, are you in cahoots with the Venom? What is going on?
Mm-hmm. But then also, like, to basically tell them, well, essentially, like they said, is that he's testing their loyalty. That you can either be a good boy and come back and do what you're told and leave all of these innocent people to die because they're civilians, regardless if they're supposed to be people they're at war with. These are civilians. So you can leave them to die, or you can save them, and who knows what the consequences are going to be. I'm intrigued to find out.
Does that mean even after reading these last 4 chapters that you're interested in Iron Flame?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm dying to start it. I'm so pumped.
I also had here, I guess it's a continuation of that thought. Imogen says, "By what?" And Liam responds, "Venin." And so it's just like you said, are you in cahoots with the Venin? How did you know? But if this is a show of loyalty to Navarre, do you think you've got the Venin on a leash? Or is it like a mutual, are you Venin yourself? I need...
Each of the secrets.
Yes. Tell me, Rebecca. I don't want to have to wait to read it.
Come on.
Just call the podcast. Let us know.
Here's our number.
With us. Yeah.
Please call me personally, anytime, any day.
Yes, I'd love to be friends. So we had the first instance of lightning thunder iteration. I'm tracking it a little bit differently now. I'm just summarizing how many have been on the page. And there was only one on this page, but that's the 66th overall that it's been mentioned. Alrighty, so the next 2 pages, the Griffin Flyers arrive and tell Xaden to take his riot home. Xaden makes his mind up to stay, but gives the crew a choice. So this one encompasses a little bit, so bear with me. I might skip around the page a bit. But I highlighted, at least there aren't any wyvern. Yeah, let's not borrow trouble. Xaden shoots a look sideways at me, then studies the sky. I just wrote, A, this is kind of funny, because he's like doubting, but then also not quite doubting. He's like, wait a second, she's brilliant, why would I doubt her? And then also kind of in chapter foreshadowing, because wyvern aren't even a possibility at this point. And then we later find out, actually, they are.
Actually, yeah, they are.
And then I was confused on what it is they're after. It just says they're after something. I'm like, but what are they after? I want to know.
I also want to know.
It sounds later on, and this isn't until next recording, but if you're following along at home, folks, you should have read the last 4 chapters, because we might discuss everything that happens. But we find out later on in chapter 39 that Crod finds some box. Is that what they're after within the city? And if so, what is the box? Is it like a lure? Why are they after it?
Is it a weapon? Yeah, I need to know what's in there. What's in the box? Side note, not realizing that my headphones cover my ears, I put on little dragon earrings.
Oh, they are dragons. Cute. On theme. Alrighty. So this note says, "My heart aches at the thought of leaving them to die. It goes against everything we stand for. Even if they aren't Navarrian civilians. Only the daggers you've been bringing, and we have those." She looks at Xaden. "Thank you for everything you've done. You've kept us alive these last couple of years and given us a fighting chance." So this we talk earlier reminds me of Threshing with Jack, Orin, and Tynan when Violet's assuming everybody has the same morals she does. And it just kind of tickled me that, like, oh, you haven't learned from this yet. Okay, got it. But
Still have some growth to do. Growing to do.
And so then Xaden, having given the daggers and hearing that that's given these people a fighting chance, I was like, this would have swayed me to be a bit more open to giving Xaden a chance than Violet is in this current point in time.
Yeah.
But also, he would have looked at me and I would have been swayed, so let's be honest.
Yeah. You weak.
I am, and I'm okay with it. My next one here, it says, "I can see the battle raging in his eyes." And I just wrote, is it a war you're determined to win? Too soon? Okay. I just want you to bone again. That's all.
Very different battle raging on. But
one last bone before the fight.
There's time for a cookie. It's fine. Yeah.
Take a lap around Reston. Survey.
Scan the perimeter.
Yeah, there you go.
You guys get started without us. We'll join the fight in just a few minutes.
Yep. So these next 2 pages, the crew decides to fight, and Sigale makes a rare comment in the general direction of Violet.
Says, "At least Rhiannon, Sawyer, and Riddick aren't here. They'll live to be second years. Mira will understand. I have no doubt that she would do the same. Violet, stop it. You're not going to die. You're not allowed to die. Stop thinking like that. Stop it."
Did knowing that there are more books in this series give her plot armor for you, or no?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Sorry.
But that's like just because knowing she's not going to die. Well, I mean, she's the main character. Like, yeah, you can't have a 5-book long series when your main character is only in the first book. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know. Anyway,
But also, it might give her plot armor for dying, but that doesn't mean she can't lose like a limb or
exactly. Like other terrible things can happen to her. She could be captured. She could lose her power. Like there's tons of stuff that there are things worse than death.
True.
And then just under that, it says, and as for Mom, the dagger on her desk means she knows and has done nothing to stop it. Guess I'll be the second child she sacrifices to keep the existence of Venom a secret. That's cold. Like, that is, I would say passive aggressive, but it's kind of just straight up aggressive. But also, like,
But not at her mom because her mom's not there.
Right, exactly. But like, I kind of respect it and I kind of relate to it.
The only thing is knowing too at the end who comes in. It's like the statement might not actually be true or not true in the way she's meaning.
True.
So there's like that double standard there that's juicy to read. And then I had our first drinkies. Violet tells Xaden, I've been defenseless, and now I'm a writer. Writers fight. And she lifts her chin.
Drink up, baddies.
Alrighty. So my next note is on the next page. It says, 1,000 emotions cross his face, but Xaden only nods. And I was just like, this man respecting her choice, even though he clearly doesn't want her to put herself in danger, he's still accepting and supportive of her decisions. Reasons why I love Xaden. A novel.
You honestly could write an entire novel that is just reasons I love this fictional character.
And it'd just be purple prose the entirety of the way through, and no one would be able to stomach it. So
it's
awful.
fine. I knew you'd make the right choice, Sigale says. He did too, even if he doesn't like you putting yourself in danger. He knew you would. And Violet responds, well, he knows me a great deal better than I know him. I lift a brow at her. Sigale responds, you're a far cry from the trembling girl who stood in the courtyard and tried to mask her fear after parapet. I approve. And Violet says to her, I wasn't asking for your approval. Hell yeah, girl. You tell Dragon Mama.
I was just like, I, A, need more Sigale dialogue because she's so sassy.
Yeah.
But B, yeah, Violet's just
giving her the
right
sass
back.
right back. Yes. I love it. I love the banter. I love the sass. Give me more.
And it makes sense with how sassy she is that she is Taryn's mate, because Taryn needs somebody that can banter her back with him the same way Violet does.
It's true. God, they're just really the sassiest dragon couple there is.
Alrighty, the next 2 pages, we're having difficult conversations with Andarna, realizing that the Wyvern are real, and admitting that she's still in love with Xaden. Ugh, this conversation with Andarna. It says, you'll feel the moment when you'll know that there's nothing to leave. And it might break your heart, but when you feel it, you fly. Promise me you'll fly. It gets me every time. I start crying at this exact line every time.
Oh my God, yeah. It wrecked my heart.
This has got to be traumatizing. I don't understand how dragons mature, especially knowing at the end that Andarna suddenly is much bigger at the end of this, and it's only been a 3-day change. Is that normal? All that is to say that I don't know how traumatizing this would all be for an adolescent dragon.
Okay, next one. A screech rends the air, and an enormous gray dragon emerges from a valley 2 ridgelines to the south. And in my notes I put, that's no moon. I mean dragon. Just casual Star Wars reference. I'm a nerd, sorry.
I did not correlate that to Star Wars at all. Is that the Death Star?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy shit. Is this what leadership has been redacting?
And I just wrote character growth. She's putting things together far quicker than she did at the beginning of the book, and I'm just really proud of her in this moment.
I really just want to know more about Taryn and Sigale and like their relationship and how they communicate with each other. Like, give me more.
I would devour a book if it was just a Taryn and Sigale POV book. It would be so good.
Honestly. Or even better, like Andarna witnessing them secondhand. Like,
Mom and Dad are fighting again today.
Yeah.
If it's like a diary format of Andarna's.
Oh my God, that would be great.
Dear diary.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes. So then my next highlight. So Violet and Xaden are finally like talking to each other here. And she was asking him about
General Melgren.
Yeah, General Melgren. And Xaden says, "Do you remember how I told you I realized it was a gift, not a curse, his rebellion relic?" And Violet says, "Yes, but thanks, back when I was in his bed." And my note here was just, focused on the priorities, I see. That's my girl.
I mean, it'd be fresh in my mind too.
But it's so funny that like her mind instantly goes to sex with him. And I get that's like the first time that they were both kind of vulnerable with each other was immediately after sex as far as giving information. But just this phrasing is so like, I'm hung up on his wiener. That's what the sentence is giving. I understand.
Keeping in that, Xaden also says, because of this, Melgren can't see a fucking thing. And I'm curious as to why. Like, what is the advantage of that to the leadership? Because this is something that was done to them by the leaders of Navarre, as a punishment, essentially. Yes.
That's how it's described, is that it was done in retaliation for the rebellion.
Yes. So like, I'm curious how that works. Like, why, because of this relic, can he not see? Is that something that was done intentionally? I feel like it wouldn't have been, because it is then a literal blind spot, considering that they don't trust them. Or was it something that was like an unintentional, like, side effect kind of thing that they discovered later? Oh, hey, he can't see what's going on. Because I feel like if it's something that the leadership intentionally did, that's fucking stupid. I don't know.
So I know I've already talked about how in a previous episode, I believe, that she says something similar to a How to Train Your Dragon quote, but it states here, "I can't imagine a world without him in it." And this is almost a direct How to Train Your Dragon quote. The other one was all similar, and this one's almost the exact same thing. It's just a matter of switching out him with you.
Yeah.
And then it's exactly How to Train Your Dragon. Speaking of, I got to see the live action recently. It was so good. If you have not seen it, go see it.
That's what I should do this weekend. I should make Aaron go to the drive-in.
Do it. It's so good.
Hell yeah.
Me and my thousands upon thousands of notes. Leave it to me to always have a thought.
See, I have no thought. I just ramble. Maybe that's having too many thoughts.
This is why we are compatible.
Yes. You have coherent thought. I have incoherent rambling.
So, Violet finally admits that she's still in love with him after the fight. And says, "I need you to survive this, even if I hate that I still love you." Xaden responds, "I can live with that." A corner of his mouth lifts. And I was just a puddle after reading that, because I'm like, at least she can be honest in this one moment, especially knowing they're going into a battle. Like, now is the time to be like, "Love you. Hey."
Yep. Last
guess
chance.
Guess what? I still have feelings. Hey.
Don't fucking die.
Which then also kind of makes me a little bit peeved that he still says, "I can live with that." He doesn't say, "I love you."
I know. Come on, dude. Come on.
I will always stand on the hill with Star Wars that I hate that Han Solo just responds, "I know," when Leia confesses love. I'm just like, no, you reciprocate, asshole. Glad you got cryoed.
Well, goddamn, someone's bitter.
Look, okay, we don't know what tomorrow will bring. If I say I love you and you don't say it back, we are over. And I will die knowing that you don't love me.
I think it's funny because, like, Aaron and I say "I love you" to each other a lot, and most of the time we'll say like "I love you too," or like, "Man, that's so cool. I love you too." Because we're fucking dorks. There will also be times where I'll be like, "I love you," and he goes, "I know." I'm like, dude, the fuck? And I'll go, "I love you too."
The times I will say it and Dan will be like, "Yeah, and don't forget."
I love that.
Like, I won't.
Good. God.
Alrighty, these next 2 pages is that they fly to take on the Venom, incinerating a clock tower, and plan to evacuate townspeople through a hidden mine that Soleil found. And so this is our first like real look at Venom, and they're described in multiple different uniforms. And so I'm just like a vague uniform watch because I'm trying to understand if I'm assuming if the Venom are army-esque, like how Basgiath is, that their uniform would correlate to a specific title within their ranks. And so I'm trying to pay attention to what they're wearing to see if I can then understand, because later we find out one of them is called a sage or talks about a sage. And she's like, she's got a teacher. And I'm just like, so does that mean they're higher in rank in their form of their military unit? But I don't know. I just wanted to highlight that this first Venom at the watchtower is wearing floor-length purple robes. Don't know what that means, but it's been noted.
Maybe we'll find out.
So this is when Taryn and Violet realize that by taking out the clock tower, they can take out the Venom. So Violet says, Taryn, after having that thought. And he says, yes, let's. It then says he incinerates the clock tower on a flyby. The Venom magically walks out of the fire. She thinks, oh, fuck, he's still there. And then immediately after that, it says, there's a reason these creatures are what make up most of Navarian's nightmare stories, and it isn't because they're easy to kill. We have to get close enough to get a dagger in him. And I highlighted this for a couple of different reasons. Like, from a writing standpoint, I can appreciate that their egos get in the way of them having just been told by Garrick and Xaden, don't throw your daggers, it's the only weapon that can kill them. And so they're like, we're gonna burn it down, that should do it. But also, it annoyed me because they never checked the clock tower. Were there civilians in there?
That's true. That is a good point.
Incinerated before checking? Did they get, like, from other dragons that this area has been cleared kind of a thing? And it just wasn't stated because that wasn't between Taryn and Violet. That was maybe like a Taryn and another dragon conversation thing.
That could be.
That's what I'm choosing to believe because I don't want to believe that they would just kill innocents for no reason.
With them just being told they cannot be destroyed with fire, you must stab them with these specific daggers, I was just frustrated. Like, this is my Violet, you just took steps back. But yeah, like, you're right. Heat of the battle, they're not infallible. They're feeling badass. They do have a bit of an ego. And
a bit.
I'm trying to be generous. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. But I was just, when I read it, I was just frustrated. Like, girl.
I liked it from a writing standpoint, though, because I'm all about giving characters flaws in my own writing. And so I liked seeing, oh, this is something that's going to stick. And I like when 2 different character traits that you have combat each other, like ego overriding how smart she is in this instance. It makes them feel more real to me.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Looks like you also highlighted maybe their uniform color.
I did. Specifically, so it says, it bears a female rider in maroon flight gear that resembles our own. For me, it's that resembles our own that, like, piqued my interest. Because, like, why? Could it be because these Venom are people who were formerly dragon riders at Basgiath or for Navarre? Could be. But yeah, it also could just be like a kind of coincidence because, you know, they both flying on these big dragon or dragon-esque creatures, and that's what is most appropriate, yes, protective, if that makes sense.
Fair. Also, these are flight gear versus floor-length robes of the other one. And so, does that mean this one's more of a wyvern rider, whereas the other one isn't? Or?
Good question. Good question. I'm very intrigued by them.
So then, my next highlight here is Violet speaking to Xaden through the bond. And it says, Xaden, there's more than one wyvern. There's a moment of silence, but I can feel Xaden's palpable shock, then rage. If you get separated from Taryn, call out, then fight until I can get there. Then Taryn says, no chance of that happening. I'm not letting her off my back, wing leader. And I'm just confused on how it works, because I know previously I've stated back when she first finds out, I think, about the lies, I made some comment about, like, I wonder if she could feel Xaden's guilt through the bond, like she felt Taryn's guilt through the bond, if she wouldn't be as mad at Xaden or would be able to forgive him quicker. But here it shows she clearly can feel his shock and then his rage. And so I'm just like, is it only that she can feel his emotions when their bond is open between all four in this moment? Or is it that her ability with the bond is strengthened over time? Or is this that Xaden's shields are completely down and so she can feel his emotions?
That was kind of how I pictured it, was that in this moment, while they're so focused on everything else that's going on, they don't have their shields up. So like that channel is more open. Whereas when they were discussing all of the lies and whatnot, Violet was very guarded.
True.
So like, it's very likely to me that she had that shield up.
Yeah, I didn't even think about her having the shield up. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So Taryn and Violet, I almost said Xaden, that's not correct. Taryn and Violet are discussing orders. It says, orders are being dispersed amid the griffins. Violet says, dragons can speak to griffins? My eyebrows shoot up. Naturally. How do you think we communicated before humans got involved? Again, like going back to that, like they have egos. I love the human ego of like, I know all there is to know about dragons. I know how dragons work. Like, bitch, you don't. And just Taryn basically being like, duh, of course we can communicate.
The audiobook also does this so sarcastically when he's like, naturally. I
just love it.
It's so good. I highlighted some foreshadow here. So they're sailing over the city and they notice how Venin powers work on some people that were also in the fight. The highlight says, we sail over the shriveled body of a griffin and its rider near the center of town. It's like, shriveled. Ugh. It's not Thanos snapping. It's literally like husks. Yeah. Mummified.
Like
flaky husks. Literally, this was like the 17th freaking time I've read this book, and I'm only just now catching on this foreshadow for what happens to Soleil. And I'm just like, dang, I should have seen the signs.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
In these next two pages, Violet wields power to defend the townspeople, while Liam and Soleil are helping into the mine. Soleil and Fuel fall. Let's see. So then we had another tracking of the Venin robes. Someone has long blue robes. I'm like, do they look similar to the purple robes that we saw earlier? And if so, what is the difference in their ranking and titles within their, I keep saying army for lack of a better word, but in their ranks?
Yeah. Violet does say her long blue robe reminds me of the staff bearer who survived the clock tower blast. So they must be pretty similar, but different colors. So yeah, it would stand to reason that like the different colors denote different rankings or something. There's something different about maybe their abilities or...
But I want to know what they mean.
Me too.
I ask you like you know the answers.
Right? Let me just call Rebecca.
Yeah. I know your best friends. Don't tell me you're not.
She doesn't want anyone to know.
She's hiding your friendship.
She's ashamed of me. Wouldn't you be?
Clearly not if I'm trying to highlight you on a podcast.
I don't know why.
Because we're friends and you have good points and you're funny.
Thank you.
And you have interesting quirks. Like random hamburger seats. And you love weird things.
Dude, look. I got a mogwai. Gizmo sits on my desk. Right next to my Muppet.
Oh, goodness.
So yeah, you're right.
So if you're not watching the YouTube video of this
you
recording,
should be.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things even just in the background of Casper's video. We then get 2 calls to lightning or thunder or energy ripping through me or bolts of lightning. That makes 3 so far in the set of chapters and 68 overall. I'm confused and want to know what you think what Soleil's power is, because it's described so vaguely. It says, Soleil throws up her hands, stopping the slide before it can crush the people running into the mine below. Her arms shake, but the boulders fall on either side of the evacuation path, leaving the escape clear. So she's using a signet of some sort, but it doesn't specify if, like, it's air manipulation and that's how she's getting the rocks to move out of the way that are falling, or if she's controlling earth and rock itself, but that's not a signet that we've heard of before. And so I just want to know what you think, or like what you imagine, I guess, her power is that she's using in this moment.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Those are definitely possibilities that like I have considered, as well as potentially like just telekinesis type of thing. But then it also made me wonder, like, is it directly her signet, or is it one of the like bonus power magic things that like the smaller magics that people can do? But with that many rocks, you would think it would have to be something like that would be too much for like it's not like opening the door or like calling or yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I guess it could be used situationally for different things. It didn't have to just be like doors and things.
Or like not having to refill your pen or whatever that I know Violet
Yeah.
was really excited about being able to do.
I had the next one too. So I had questions on how channeling works. It seems to be how Venom get their power, but Violet asks Taryn, is she? And he completes her sentence. Channeling, he growls. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just a dragon and griffin ability. How does one learn to channel then? And does that make dragons and griffins obsolete if humans can?
Right, because I know they had, or Violet had mentioned within like the lore of the fables or whatever, that instead of channeling power through dragons like writers do, that they channel it directly through the earth, which is like frowned upon. But yeah, how do?
Yeah, I want the physical description, like I reach into myself and use some sort of power innately within me to then pull power from the ground. You know, like I want
we
more
want
than
that
just
like that POV, that inner monologue from the Venom kind of.
Describe the mechanics of it.
The way that Violet describes like her inner archive and like how her power works. Yeah, I want that. I want that. I'm with you.
Give it to me, Rebecca.
Give it to me.
Give it to me, baby.
I love you.
I know.
I knew. I'm like, if she doesn't say I know right now, if she does not say right now, if she does not say I know.
To our conversation
I
like
know.
5 minutes ago.
Just thinking, if she doesn't say it, I'm gonna be disappointed. And you don't disappoint.
That's good to know. Glad I am not a failure in your eyes.
Never. Impossible. Inconceivable. Okay, so Taryn is telling Violet, watch out. Day says that building on the other side of the road has a crate of something marked with Liam's family crest. He says it's highly unstable.
I wrote in my note here, in chapter foreshadow, but also come on, like, I get there's a lot going on right now. But maybe pay attention to this thought for a second longer. Let your map in your brain connect the neuron dot point thingies and have a thought that, hey, this would be useful knowledge instead of just brushing it aside.
Yeah, my eyes just immediately went, ooh, what's in the box? What is it?
What's in the box?
Especially if it's unstable. Like, that seems very dangerous. Why does Liam's family have this? I just want to know what it is.
Fair.
I need answers, Rebecca.
We get another allusion to Violet using her lightning. It does say another blast, but in context for the sentence, she's talking about another blast of lightning. And so that's the 4th time so far in this chapter, and the 69th overall in the book. So on these 2 pages, Violet and Taryn blow up a building in hopes of taking out a wyvern and Venom. It doesn't work, so they decided, try and draw them out instead.
I know I can forgive them for the first time that they forgot that wasn't going to work. But they just remembered that wasn't going to work. And they try it again.
Yeah.
About halfway down this page, it says, Liam flies for the griffins above us, wielding spears of ice into the injured wyvern's throat. And I am a little bit confused in the same way that you were confused with Soleil's signet. We know what Liam's signet is. He has farsight. So how is he wielding ice? Like, is that something that any writer can do because of these, like, smaller magics that they can do? Or what?
Especially knowing Riddick's main signet is ice. And so it sounds like it's not a small lesser magic. Yeah, this one I never actually caught the first time I read it. And this is something that a lot of the internet has speculated on. It was said to be a misprint, but then in every edition it still shows up.
Interesting. I also wondered at first, well, maybe it doesn't mean Liam. Maybe it's the griffin, the flyer, who is wielding. Maybe that's what Rebecca meant in writing it that way, and it just didn't. It got misinterpreted,
maybe.
or it's being misinterpreted. Because the flyers, the griffin flyers, they do have some magic as well, do they not?
I believe so. I don't know if we've seen any of it, unless this is an example and we are missing the mark. I'm glad you caught that though, because I didn't. And then when I saw it was a big contention point, I had to go back and read before we ever started the podcast. And I was like, oh, it does say that. And so, good on you. Alrighty. My next note is more tracking of lightning. We get it 2 more times on this page. So that leaves us at 6 times overall and 71 for the entirety of the book. So these next 2 pages, Violet struggles to control her lightning. All the while, Taryn encourages her. Xaden does an impressive stunt off Sigel's back, but it leaves him vulnerable. We had a total of 5 different mentions of lightning on this first page. That leaves us at 11 overall for this set of chapters and 76 in the book. We land on a perfectly even number of lightning, I believe, for this entirety, for the whole book.
Okay, so on this page, a little bit into the next page as well, there is a lot of mentioning of Violet channeling a lot of power. And I wanted to read just a few of them. It says, I open the floodgates of Taryn's power, letting it roil and billow beneath my skin. I summon more power and wield my arms, trembling with the effort to control the deluge of raw energy. I wield again, ripping down the walls between Taryn and me, and more of the energy he channels rips through me. I let the power overcome me again and again. I tremble with the effort of controlling the power. Power jolts through me in wave after burning wave as I wield more lightning than I ever have in practice. Girl, you're gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna get overpowered. Please fucking be careful. It made me really nervous. Is this what's gonna happen? Is she about to fucking burn herself out? The way Nailin did. And she even says, I'm not Nailin. But girl, why the fuck do you think you're better than he is or more powerful?
And it cracks me up too because Taryn's like, I can feel you waning. And she's like, I know my own body. And I'm like, but he's also able to read your body. It just was a funny, don't presume to read me, child, to Dragon Dad? Okay. I think she's picking up too much on Taryn.
Yeah. Yeah, he's rubbing off on her.
Yeah. This is the next page. We had 8 total counts of lightning. So that leaves us at 19 so far for this section. Makes sense. We're in a big battle. And 84 for the entirety of the book so far.
A lot of lightning being thrown around.
Mm-hmm. These next 2 pages, Xaden uses more cool stunts to get out of trouble in the nick of time. But Violet is so wrapped up in Xaden that she forgets about the danger she herself and Taryn are in. On the way to help Liam, the tables turn, and Day and Liam end up saving Taryn and Violet. This just was something that kind of scares me as much as I eat it up every time. But the several highlights I have here that I'm going to kind of lump together. It says, but I was so focused on Xaden, I completely forgot about the wyvern on my own tail. Xaden screams, violence, beneath you. Sigale picks up speed, banks, and flies right by us, her wing gliding under Taryn's almost affectionately, which is in complete contrast to the menacing glare that seems directed at me. Wyvern blood still dripping from her jaws. Message received. It's her job to keep an eye on Xaden's back, and mine is to watch Taryn's. And this just scares me because they're so into each other that they can't keep their objective in mind in a highly dangerous situation. And I'm like, is this how one of them will end up being the death of the other because they couldn't keep focused? And that's how one of them will end up dying? Also, Sigale's reaction is so valid in this point. Get your head out your ass and protect my man.
I love her being protective of him. It's so cute.
But I also kind of wish I would have heard her berate Xaden, too. Because he's not so innocent in this either. He was doing the same thing and will do the same thing throughout this battle. To a certain extent, yes, they need to have each other's backs. But when it becomes a distraction for their own safety is when I get scared.
Valid.
There's a fine line. You got to figure out that balance. And I would prefer you to figure it out before anything bad happens. Please and thank you. Then I had More lightning tracking on this page. Just one more time. It says a bolt, and that's the 20th time in this section and 85th overall.
Kind of spinning off of that, says a blur of blue shoots between us, and the wyvern is knocked away by the body of a navy dragon, Sigale. Her jaws tear through the side of the wyvern in several rapid, brutal bites, flesh ripping and blood spraying in the most vicious mid-air meal I have ever seen. Then she flips and catches the devoured wyvern by the head with her dagger tail, sending its dead body sailing several hundred feet before crashing to the ground. I love seeing Sigale in action. Like, she is a badass fucking dragon mama. Like, whoo, she is terrifying in the best way. I love it.
This next highlight is a shared one. Want me to take it?
Yes, please.
Alrighty. This is just Liam being a badass, and I wanted to highlight it because...
Same.
It says, Liam stands up and runs along Day's spine toward his dagger tail. At the last second, Day uses his tail to whip Liam up into the air toward the wyvern. I don't even have time to scream before he lands in a crouch on the wyvern's rear and pulls out one of the ruined daggers like the two Xaden gave me. Fucking badass.
Honestly.
He's so brave because I would not leave my dragon for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you give me a dragon, I'm gonna stay on that dragon. I'm not leaving.
Liam, I just love you.
I had a foreshadow moment here. It says, the venom whips around, raising his staff, but Liam is brutally fast and slits the venom's throat with sickening precision. The wyvern stops beating its wings within seconds, its heavy body free falling to the ground, and Liam leaps from his back just as Day flies beneath, easily catching him. A wyvern flies at us from the left. It's like foreshadow for how to defeat multiple wyvern. But she's also instantly distracted by imminent danger. So I can understand not putting two and two together. This isn't a call out because I wouldn't have been able to put two and two together in the chaos of battle. But I was wondering if you caught this and if you were like, hey.
I did. And I think, again, because of in the previous sections of the book, they have put so much emphasis on if a dragon dies, their rider dies. That riders channel their power from their dragons, and how Venom are basically the opposite of that, that they channel it from the earth into their wyvern. So it made sense to me that, like, if you kill the dragon, the rider dies. Reverse of that, if you kill the Venom, the wyvern dies.
Okay.
So yeah, that was kind of the moment where I was like, oh, okay.
This was something I did not pick up on until it's revealed later. So when I've gone back and then read subsequently, I was like, oh, this tracks. I should have seen it. I had another tracking of lightning here. That makes 21 for the total of the section of chapters, but 86 overall. Alrighty. On to the next set of 2 pages. So in saving Violet and Tarn, Liam gets flung off Day, caught by Violet, and Day is stuck battling the wyvern. The wyvern doesn't give up as they're falling from the sky, and Day dies on impact.
Liam says to her, that thing was going to take a chunk out of Tarn. You've saved my life, and now it's my turn. No matter what you think of me for keeping secrets, we're friends, Violet. Like, just reassuring her, like, I've got your back, dude. Like, you're my friend, and I care about you, even if you're angry at me. I don't know. I love the, like,
And he feels
trope.
like he owes her, too.
Yeah. I love that trope of, like, you saved me, I'm gonna return the favor now. Like, make my heart break. Damn it, Rebecca.
I don't think I've ever done a read of this series and not cried during this chapter.
Valid. Like, I was sobbing the whole way through this.
We had one more on this page. Energy crackles through my hands. That's 22 overall and 87 so far in the book.
Okay, so this next part had me internally screaming. Day is fighting for his life. The heartbeat of terror squeezing my chest like a vice isn't mine. It's Xaden's. If I leave, these civilians are all dead. We're on our own. Rebecca, don't do this to me, please. Don't. Like, this was the point where I was like, oh my God, she is not about to do this. Like, you can't take my boy from me. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. I was so upset.
Mm-hmm. And to Violet and to Xaden, who can feel it and who's not able to do anything because he's not there. He's in a different part of Resin.
So for me, basically this entire page was traumatizing. And the entire time I'm reading it, I'm just sitting there screaming to myself, Rebecca, please don't do this. And it's like literally sobbing. I could cry right now, honestly. Ugh. It made me so sad. And there was like this part of me as well, because at this point, like, Day is gone. He has died. And so but Liam is still hanging on. So part of me is like, please, please let there be some way for this a rider without their dragon is dead thing. Like, please let there be a loophole. Let there be a way around it for my boy. Like, don't do this. Oh, it just broke my fucking heart.
Yeah. Alrighty. These next 2 pages. So Taryn and Violet land so Liam can be with Day in his final moments. Violet promises to take care of Sloane and says her goodbyes before Xaden arrives to finish taking Liam to Day and say goodbye to his foster brother.
And a couple of lines that like really, really got to me, because this entire scene, obviously, like, as I said, I was sobbing. But this one really, like, jabbed me in the heart. It says, after everything Liam has given up for me, this is the least I can do for him. I can get him today the same way I know he would carry me to Taryn or Andarna. Because he's the goodest boy.
It's the physical act of, like, I know this is something you would want in your last minutes. Let me do this for you. Selflessness that is real heart-wrenching.
Especially because since she is smaller, like, she struggles to get him there. Like, she can't physically do it. And putting myself in Violet's POV, I'm like, all of everything that's going on, this is the last thing I can do, except I can't do it.
And knowing, too, Violet struggles this entire time with her body being weaker because of her EDS. Is that what it's called again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ehlers-Danlos.
Almost emphasizes even more how desperate of a moment this is for them. The juxtaposition of it is all just, Rebecca sure knows how to tug on some heartstrings. So this is a mutual highlight, but it's just Violet's inner thoughts when thinking about Liam and Day. It says, this isn't fair. This isn't right. Not Day. Not Liam. They're the strongest of our year. They're the best of us. I was like, agreed. But then I had a Rebecca fact.
Tell me the Rebecca facts to distract me from my grief.
I mean, it might just make you mad.
Oh, no.
So in subsequent interviews after this book, Rebecca's been asked, why did you kill off Liam? And she's like, he was written as a perfect character, and he didn't have anywhere to grow. She wrote him as a perfect character in order to kill him off.
Curse you, Rebecca.
Yep.
Like, I understand the sentiment of kill your darlings, but why this one?
Yeah. You made him too darling.
Yeah. My boy. My golden retriever boy.
Epitome of golden retriever.
Rebecca, don't you know you can't kill the dog? That's not fair. You can't. The dog cannot die. You killed him. You did it.
You did it.
For shame. This is a crime.
Think I've said it before, but she will later then say, especially going into new books, like the first book is considered implied consent, I think, for future trauma that she then inflicts on us throughout the series. And I'm like,
God damn, Rebecca.
Okay. My next highlight was just the 4 words that wrecked the internet when this book came out. It says, thank you, Liam. Thank you for being my shadow. Thank you for being my friend. To which Liam responds, it's been my honor. I thought this was such a cool callback to a couple of different times. So back when she gives him permission to tell Xaden that she knows she's going to fight Jack Barlow, she's like, thanks for being my shadow, or you've been a great shadow. And I'm like, why does this feel like a goodbye? Because she says the same thing in the goodbye later. And then he says, it's been my honor. When he agrees to go into the fight, he's like, I hope that my death would be as honorable as my parents. And then he's saying that being Violet's friend has been his honor. Ugh. It's so good and so sad.
It is. Okay, so once again, this entire page, like, wrecked me. I am not going to actually read a lot of the highlights. Just, you're going to read if you haven't already read the damn book for yourself, what the hell are you doing here? You can read it. You can read this page to yourself and cry like I did. But I
like we all do.
Like we all do. I definitely related to losing my dad a little bit too hard here. And so again, I've been sobbing through this whole thing, but like, oh, it was, I don't want to say it was triggering, but I was definitely grieving both Liam and my daddy a little bit there. Yeah, loss is real hard.
And as difficult as it is to read, sometimes I appreciate seeing it represented in books. I think it helps. It is a nice reminder sometimes because depending on where you are in your journey or with whoever it is you've lost, I think sometimes it can be a good reminder to then think back on people that you may have lost and maybe just to reflect on them, because I like to think that those people are never too far gone. They live on in our memories, and having excuses to bring them up because sometimes we get caught up in everyday life, you know? It's nice to be able to think about it as much as it breaks your heart.
Yeah. I think it's also really cathartic to have an outlet. At least for me, I'm not going to speak for everyone and everyone's experience with loss. I don't feel like the grief ever like really goes away. It just, there are moments where it's higher or lower. So like every day I'm still grieving my dad, and having like an outlet to put that grief into
A
that
safe
is,
one.
yeah, a
Yes.
safe one that's removed from the emotion of what was for me a very traumatizing event. Um, is, I don't want to use the word cathartic again, and I don't mean the word healing either. It's a good release. It's a nice, yeah, and it's a nice relief as well. It is helpful. It feels good.
That's one of the reasons why I love romantasy and why I get so, for lack of a better term, butthurt when people just write it off as like smut, is because it's a safe way for me to work on myself through fictionalized characters in whatever regard. Romantasy is so much more. Sometimes with writing, especially like Tolkien type writing, it can be so far removed that you can enjoy the writing and the story of it, but it's not as easy to maybe put yourself in the places of those characters. Whereas romantasy, because so much of the plot point is also focused on romantic interpersonal relationships, it heightens that story and it allows you to, like you said, in a safe way, not necessarily heal or go through, but to process, yeah, different parts, traumas, things that you can correlate to. Hence why Shield of Sparrows recently for me was such a fucking 5-star, because a lot of that main character's main traumas in life are ones that I also have experienced and am currently dealing with because they resurge sometimes. And it's those stories that I tend to gravitate towards more, regardless of what someone else might think of the writing style or what have you. Every story is, again, subjective to the person reading, but the ability to reflect and use these books as a tool for healing is one of my favorite things about the romantasy genre.
I think also people write off romantasy as like, oh, it's just smut. And I think they're internally comparing it to like 50 Shades of Grey, where the majority of it is, yeah, very descriptive, like sex scenes. There wasn't really that much sex in this book. There were like 2 instances, and it wasn't like overly graphic. Like
Or
it was
gratuitous.
yeah, it wasn't gratuitous. Thank you. And it wasn't like it served the story. It wasn't written to be like pornography.
It
Like
had
there's
purpose.
emotion in it. Yeah, there's purpose for it. It's not just I'm hot and I'm the fucking, I don't know what the fuck that was.
And that's also not to say that there's anything wrong with a book that is straight smut. Like, each book has a time and place for the reader. If it's not your bag of tea, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I don't read like smut as well and some like harder core smut. But yeah, like I don't appreciate that it just gets lumped together in that, and that people can't appreciate the nuance.
Yeah, agreed.
Just let people enjoy things, Jesus Christ. Again, even if it was just straight up smut, who the fuck cares? Why do you care so much? It doesn't make it any less valid.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, we only had a favorite on the next page, but I'll give a little summary of 470 and 471 here. So, Liam dies, but not without final words for Violet. Xaden holds off the wyvern so Violet can take them out. Then Violet and Taryn are back in the sky when an unseen wyvern appears from their left. The first note I had here was just another tracking of lightning. It happens 2 times on this page, so that leaves us at 24 overall and 89 for the entirety of the book.
Do you want to go ahead and take this next shared one?
Yeah, I got it. Got it. This is essentially Violet kind of coming into the crux of her hero's journey in this battle. It states, he'll be the first to die if I'm not exactly what he called me under the tree all those months ago. Violence. There are dozens of wyvern and one of me. I have to be as strategic as Brennan and as confident as Mira. I've spent the last year trying to prove to myself I'm nothing like my mother. I'm not cold. I'm not callous. But maybe there is a part of me that's more like her than I care to admit. Because right now, standing near the dead body of my friend and his dragon, all I want is to show these assholes exactly how violent I can be. This is her main internal struggle, like her trying to find her place in her family and in the world. And seeing it all coming together in this moment of her knowing that self-sacrifice is imminent in this situation. And I just love how loyal she is at her core. And I love that she's able to see tokens of other people that she would want for herself, and she's able to see them in herself now. Like that journey of like, I wish I was this like Brennan, and I wish I was this like Mira, and being like, no, I am these things like them, but I'm also my own individual. And I just wrote, go off, queen.
Hell yeah.
And that brings us to the end of 36. So chapter 37. These first 2 pages are summarized thusly. Venom is now on Taryn's back, and she and Violet have a dagger face-off in the air, where Violet gets stabbed.
So my next one also kind of encompasses a few different paragraphs, so I'm just going to read like the highlighted little lines. So Violet tells Taryn, I need you to stay level. I tell Taryn, unbuckling my thigh straps. You will not unseat, Taryn growls. I climb to my feet and unsheath the 2 daggers Xaden gave me today. Every challenge, every obstacle, every hour Imogen spent in the weight room, every single time Xaden has taken me to the mat has been worth something, right? This is just a challenge with a not-so-fictitious dark wielder on the parapet. A moving, flying parapet. And for my most, like, this is literally like everything you've been training for. Like, this is why they put you through these trials and these challenges. Like, you can do it. You can do this. Just like cheering her on.
So the next one's a shared one. I'll read it here. It says, such untapped power. No wonder we were called here. You could command the sky to surrender all its power. And I bet you don't know what to do with it, do you? Writers never do. And I was like, oh, hey, epigraph tie-in.
Oh, so mine, I think I continued on further in the paragraph. She continues to say, I'm going to split you open and see where all that astonishing lightning comes from. Or maybe I'll let him do it. You'll wish for death if I hand you over to my sage. Who is he? Who called you? Did the sage call you? What do you mean you were called here? Who is he? I need answers.
It just kind of goes into, too, like, all the different types of uniforms that the Venom have. There's clearly some sort of
hierarchy.
Yeah, and so which one of them, if we've seen them, is the sage?
Yeah, and that's another thing, is like, was the sage one of the other Venom that they were fighting? Is it someone who's not in the battle? Like,
is it Colonel Atos?
Or Mildred? Being even.
It could be anybody. And then I had one instance of lightning being used on this page. It's the 25th one, this set of chapters, and the 90th overall. So the next 2 pages, Xaden empowers Violet, and she's able to take out the Venom, noticing that taking out the Venom takes out the wyvern they've created. A new plan formed. Violet tells Xaden to let the shadows fall. So I loved Xaden's encouragement of Violet here on this page. He says, level the playing field, Xaden orders. He split his power, and shadows rush in from the cliffs at my left, throwing the world around me and the Venom into a cloud of complete darkness. And I have the power of light. Like, this is just so beautiful. When they break apart after Liam's passing, he throws up shadows and his arms instantly shake. Like, he's already so exhausted. And the way he thinks to empower her to make the kill instead of rushing in and taking out the Venom himself. Also, just the way that their powers complement one another. I loved it. Also, I wanted to get your thoughts on Violet saying that her power is light. We know it's lightning and that lightning can emanate light, but it just seemed kind of, I can't tell if this is Rebecca trying to stretch her power to seem more like it's the complementary form of the darkness of his shadows, or...
Yeah, I'm with you. It feels like a little bit of a reach, but... Because, yeah, you are correct. Lightning often creates light. But I think of lightning more as, like, energy. than light. So I'll accept it, Rebecca. I'll accept it. For now. You are on thin ice, though.
Then we had more lightning talk on this page. And I believe there's just one instance of it. So that makes 26 overall in this set of chapters and 91 for the entirety of the book. Alrighty, so the next 2 pages. Xaden fights Violet on letting the shadows fall. Meanwhile, Taryn is trying to find the most powerful venom to take down. Violet fights Burnout as she takes on more and more of Taryn's power, and Andarna lends her time-stopping power. Then we have one more lightning tract this page. That makes 27 for the set of chapters, 92 overall in the book. Then on this page, we have 5 references to lightning, leaving our total for the section of chapters 32 and then 97 for the entirety of the book. I know exactly what I'm capable of, and I just wrote unreliable narrator. It is present. This is it. It is now.
You have been ordained as unreliable.
As unreliable. Alrighty, last page. It says, with time stopped, Violet directs her lightning directly into... I used direct twice there in that same sentence. I hate that. Anyway, with time stopped, Violet directs her lightning directly into a venom, taking out more than half the wyvern when the wound in her side pulls her off Taryn's back. Then we get one more lightning reference on this page. That brings us up to 33 in the set of chapters and 98 overall. And then this specific scene I wanted to highlight gives me a very specific image in my mind, so I felt like I needed to share it. It says, a rope of shadow flies up, wrapping around the venom's neck as Taryn banks left to avoid the hit, and I barely managed to keep my seat. Xaden pulls the venom from the wyvern's back and yanks him downward, right into the dagger he holds in his outstretched hand. Damn, sometimes I forget just how beautifully lethal he is. And for some reason this gives me The Fall of the Rebel Angels by Luca, is it Giordano vibes? It's very like Baroque, Renaissance-esque style painting in my brain. This like image of some sort of like fallen angel or like demon falling from the sky just to land directly on his dagger with like a rope of shadow pulling him down onto it. It just was very picturesque in this moment.
I feel that.
Is you looking up the painting?
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like just the very like there's battle waging all around them. Very like art you would see in a big Catholic church kind of a vibe. And if this isn't fan art that already exists, I need to see fan art of the scene in this like Baroque Renaissance style. Please and thank you. Alrighty.
That is it for those chapters.
Yeah, look at us.
Damn.
Alrighty. Let's go back to the beginning.
Let's go back. Back to the beginning. Sorry, just had a Hillary Duff moment.
Alrighty. Looks like you had the first favorite.
It's a little bit of a long one. Bear with me. Xaden, prior to going into battle, is addressing the group, and he says, this isn't a fucking training exercise, Bodhi. Some, if not all, of us are going to die if we go down there. If we'd been assigned to an active wing, there would be far older and more experienced leadership making this decision, but there aren't. If we weren't marked with rebellion relics, if we hadn't been aiding the enemy, we wouldn't even be here with this choice. So, all command structure aside, what are your thoughts? And then there's also, I'm going to go ahead and include it in this on the very next page, kind of feeding into that. It says, Sigale says she has never run from a fight, and today will not be the first. And I'm not going to stand by while innocent people are dying either. But I'm not going to order any of you to join me. I'm responsible for all of you. None of you crossed that parapet because you wanted to. None of you. You crossed it because I made a deal. I'm the one who forced you into the quadrant, so I won't think less of anyone who wants to fly for Eltaval instead. And I just, like, I love this demonstration of why Xaden is such a great leader. Like, he is not ordering anyone around. He is not making this decisions for his cadets. Like, he very much, he realizes the severity of the situation and that people are going to die. And he doesn't, one way or the other, he doesn't decide for them, okay, we're going to do this. Or in trying to protect them, telling them, no, we're going to leave. Like, they make this decision together. And I just, hello.
You've also got the next favorite.
Oh, shit. And it says, if we leave, they'll all die. Every civilian, every flyer. We won't have killed them, but we will be complicit in their deaths all the same. If we fight, we'll likely die with them. we can live as cowards or die as writers. And that's just such a powerful sentiment. And something that, like, if I were in that position and I had, like, for whatever reason, chosen not to fight, it would haunt me for the rest of my life. And I imagine it would do the same for any of them.
Mm-hmm. That goes into our shared favorite. So essentially, I just highlighted everyone's different way of agreeing in this moment when stepping up to fight. So Imogen says, "We defend the defenseless." And then Bodhi says, "You saved every single one of us here, cousin. And we're thankful. Now, I'd like to do what we've trained for. And if it means I don't go home, then I guess my soul will be commended to Malik. I wouldn't mind seeing my mother anyway." Garrick says, "I'll tell you the same thing I did after threshing, our first year, when we decided to start smuggling weaponry out. You kept us alive all these years. We get to decide how we die. I'm with you." To then Liam's, "We watched as our parents were executed because they have the courage to do the right thing. I'd like to think my death would be just as honorable." They're such a good group of kids. Look at these young whippersnappers.
Whippersnappers. Ugh. These are the type of people that, or the values that Violet assumes or imagines that everyone in Navarre has, and like all of the writers and leadership have, when clearly that isn't true. And ironically, it's the exact people that she has been told do not have those values who are demonstrating.
That irony is not lost on me, but maybe is a little bit on her. So this is just banter. We loved it. I'm pretty sure it's like the only banter we really get in this chapter. But it's between Violet and Taryn. She's like, Taryn, asking him what he thinks before she claims her decision. And he says, "We will feast on their bones, Silver One." And she thinks, graphic, but point made. And I'm just like, banter, there you are. I've been looking for you.
I also absolutely believe that Taryn means that literally.
Mm-hmm.
Very literally.
And also Violet's response mentally in her own head, not to Taryn, just the graphic, but point made is so spot on. And also my internal monologue when reading, "We will feast on their bones."
So Violet, talking to Andarna, tells her to stay here and hide. And Andarna says, "Stay here," she grumbles sarcastically in response. I bite back a sad smile. It's really too bad I won't get to see her go through her rebellious adolescent years. 2 things. Sassy baby dragon, I love you. Second of all, Violet, knock that shit off. You are not going to die today.
We had another shared favorite. So it's essentially just something witty that Imogen says. They find out about Wyvern, and she thinks, or no, sorry, Imogen says, "Well, there went our air superiority. Fuck them. They can die too."
I love my girl. Also, side note, love that you just put attitude in the note. In my head, it immediately made me go, attitude, attitude, which I think is from the Lizzie McGuire movie. I haven't thought about that in forever, but as soon as I read that, that is what popped into my head. Xaden might command the riders on this field, but Tarn is clearly leading the dragons. Hell yeah, he is. He's Dragon Dad. He's the biggest, he's the strongest, he's the oldest. He knows what he's doing. And we love him for that.
And we love him for that. It's Violet and Taryn banter. Just 2 lines. But Violet thinks, maybe this wasn't the best idea. To which Taryn's like, "We're committed now." So good.
He's sassy Dragon Dad. Xaden says to Violet, "There is no me without you." And it just makes my heart melt. I want to say it like, I think later on he says something similar, and I like the way he put it in that instance a little bit better. Because you can, in some ways, read this in a very unhealthy way. Like, you are still your own person, sir. But I get what you mean. But then you can also take it in a literal way of like, because of that bond, there is the possibility that if she die, he die. So like, it could very literally be, there is no me without you. And I just like that. And it's just a callback that I really, really love as Violet is comparing walking on Taryn's back to being on the parapet, a moving, flying parapet. It says, "I shove the fear aside. There's no room for it here."
Violet asks, "You're willing to gamble your life on it?" He says, "I will bet my life on you as I have from the first day." He's so loyal.
Mm-hmm. And so sure of her. Like, he has so much faith and trust in her.
It's so sweet. And she can do anything because he believes in her.
Yeah, because he's Dragon Dead.
because he's dragon dead. Let's get into our song dedication.
Yo.
So this song obviously had to be dedicated to Liam, and it's Tragedy, the Austin cello version by Brandy Carlisle. That's it. I didn't want to get into it. I just was like, this is just for him.
Fair. Absolutely fair. Mine is also a tribute to Liam. My song is Hear You Me by Jimmy Eat World. Because Liam was just the goodest boy and he had such a big heart, and now I'm gonna cry. This song in particular is about loss, and it makes me very sad. And some of the standout lyrics, the ones that really made me like, this was a song I was actually listening to the other day. I'm like, oh, this is the one I'm picking. Because of these lyrics, which say, and if you were with me tonight, I'd sing to you just one more time. A song for a heart so big, God wouldn't let it live. My God, I'm just realizing how many Hilary Duff connections I have right now, because the first time I heard that song was in a Cinderella story.
Okay.
What the fuck? This is weird.
Hilary
Shout
Duff
out
is...
Hilary Duff.
Yeah.
A very significant part of my childhood, apparently.
So for chapter 37, I picked My Love Will Never Die by A.G. and Claire Wyndham? Wyndham?
Wyndham?
It's one of those names where it could have multiple pronunciations.
Like Worcestershire. Worcester.
The amount of pursing you did of your lips to say that word.
You're welcome.
That will live in my brain forever now. But I picked this song because to me it's the calm one sinks into as battle and carnage wage on around you, and you realize what you must do, what you must sacrifice. It's the silence as you fall from the sky after having given your all to make sure those you love survive. The standout lyrics I chose for this one are, my love, my fearless love, I will not say goodbye. Sea may rise, sky may fall, my love will never die. It's a very epic sounding song.
I also chose an epic kind of like battle song. So I chose Save Yourself, I'll Hold Them Back by My Chemical Romance. So like I said, it's a battle song. It's always felt that way to me. It's pretty plainly like war related, but I related it to Xaden holding off the wyvern while Violet wields her lightning to bring down the venom, with some of the lyrics that stood out to me being, they say we're never leaving this place alive, but if you sing these words, we'll never die. Not a victim of a victim's life. We're believers. I believe tonight. For all of you who've seen the light, salute the dead and lead the fight. Who gives a damn if you lose the war? Let the walls come down. Let the engines roar. You're a broken glass in the morning light. Be a burning star if it takes all night. So just save yourself and I'll hold them back tonight. I am still an emo child at heart.
At heart?
And
you don't look it at all.
Just in general.
Yeah. You were emo. End of sentence.
Period. True.
Alrighty. Let's get into our outro, shall we? Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this week's episode.
We're so excited to be on this journey with you.
Haven't had enough of us yet? Join us next week for episode 10, part 2, as we discuss everything that happens in chapters 38 and 39. While we may be at the end of Fourth Wing, fear not, our discussion is far from over, as we will be discussing the bonus chapters next, so stay tuned.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Bound to Be Bad Podcast.
And while you're at it, please be sure to leave a lovely little love note while rating and reviewing us on Audible or Apple Podcasts. It not only helps us grow, but plays a huge part in the growth of any podcast you listen to, so share the love.
Do you know a fellow book baddie who can't get enough of the Empyrean series either? Share us with a friend to give them something to hold on to till the next book release, because who knows when that will be.
Till then, we'll be here, and we hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.